A faint shadow on the ceiling turns into a dark, expanding stain during a heavy rain, blistering the paint and dripping onto your floor. That single drip forces an immediate, stressful choice. You have to decide if a quick patch will stop the water, or if the entire system has reached a point of total failure. Guessing wrong is expensive. If you overreact and pay for a full replacement when a localized fix would have worked, you are throwing away thousands of dollars in remaining roof life. But underreacting carries a different penalty. Relying on cheap patches to cover up structural failure allows hidden moisture to quietly rot your attic framing and ruin your insulation. In Camarillo, roofs face a specific environment. Year-round intense sun bakes the materials, while coastal moisture and seasonal heavy rains test every seal and seam on your home. This climate creates problems that develop slowly and out of sight. A roof can look perfectly straight from the street, while the critical waterproofing layers underneath are actively breaking down. Before you call a contractor or climb up a ladder, you need a way to objectively evaluate the damage. This diagnostic framework helps you understand exactly what your roof is telling you. A roof is an interconnected system of valleys, flashing, and underlayment. Treating a systemic failure with a surface-level bandage will never keep your home dry. The first step in diagnosing your roof is looking at your history of leaks and repairs. This history reveals whether a problem is an isolated event or a sign of system failure. An isolated defect is a single leak caused by a clear, sudden event, like a cracked pipe boot or a few shingles torn away by high winds. If the surrounding materials remain strong, this specific damage justifies a targeted, low-cost repair. You fix the weak point and preserve the rest of the roof. This chart lays out the diagnostic matrix. On the left, isolated defects. On the right, systemic wear, which is what you face when leaks appear in different rooms season after season. Homeowners in the right column often fall into a trap of repair fatigue. You pay for a valley this year, an event next season, but you're just paying to stop symptoms instead of solving the source. The cumulative cost of these repeated patches quickly approaches the price of a full systemic reset, yet your home remains vulnerable to the next storm. A repair is effective for a specific weak point, but patching an aging, degraded system guarantees that the next leak is already forming right next to the fix. Beyond the history of leaks, we have to evaluate the physical condition of the materials. For tile roofs, this requires looking past the surface. This cross-section shows the underlayment trap. The top tiles can last decades and look pristine, but your main water-shedding protection is actually this middle layer, the underlayment. Over years of exposure to the Camarillo sun, this layer dries out. The heat bakes the underlayment until it becomes brittle, shrinks, and begins to tear. Tiles aren't perfectly waterproof. Water naturally slips past them. If the underlayment is cracked, that water goes straight into your home. Replacing surface tiles over a failed underlayment does nothing to stop the leak. Asphalt shingle roofs age differently. When an asphalt system nears the end of its life, you'll see curled edges, deep cracking, and widespread granule loss across large sections. Repairing old asphalt is a physical risk. When shingles become brittle, peeling back one piece to replace a flashing often snaps the adjacent shingles, creating a chain reaction of new damage. The condition of the hidden materials dictates the solution. Paying for a surface patch over an exhausted underlayment or a brittle shingle system is simply renting time until the next disaster. The final diagnostic factors are where the damage is located and how deeply the water has already penetrated. High-risk areas like chimneys, valleys, and skylights channel the most water. A flashing gap here is cheap to fix, but only if you catch it before the water reaches your framing. If those gaps are ignored, secondary warning signs appear. You might notice a musty odor, or find damp, heavy insulation in the attic long before you see a stain on your ceiling. Water travels. It enters through a small opening and follows gravity, running down rafters and hidden channels. This means a ceiling stain rarely sits directly beneath the actual hole in the roof. As that water travels, it softens the roof decking and soaks the structural supports. Unchecked moisture quickly transitions a roofing problem into a structural rot and mold crisis for the entire home. Once hidden moisture has compromised the underlying wooden decking, a localized surface repair is no longer a viable or safe option. The foundation of the roof must be addressed. The choice between an affordable repair and a full replacement comes down to differentiating a single component failure from a total system failure. This decision tree flowchart maps out your path forward. We follow the physical evidence down 2 routes. The green path is for repairs. It requires a young roof, an isolated leak, and flexible underlayment. In this scenario, targeting the isolated defect is your most cost-effective investment. The red path leads to re-roofing, used when inputs show recurring leaks, brittle materials, or aged-out underlayment. When the system has exhausted its useful life, stopping the patchwork and investing in a systemic re-roof provides the only long-term protection. This is a high-stakes decision. Never make it based only on what the roof looks like from your driveway. You need a professional to evaluate the hidden flashing, the underlayment clues, and the attic space to confirm the diagnosis. Don't wait for the water to find its way inside. Schedule a comprehensive inspection with Roof Repair Camarillo at CamarilloRoofRepair.com before the next seasonal rain hits. An objective, correct diagnosis saves you thousands of dollars in wasted repairs and finally ends the cycle of roof anxiety for good.